Hi everyone, welcome to iQuanta's video solution for slot 1 QA for CAT 2025. I'm Amit Panchmatia and we'll be going through all the questions of slot 1 CAT 2025. Let's start with the first question, which is on geometry. They have given us the side of a rhombus is 36 centimeter and the area of the rhombus is also given. So you need to know the formula for area of the rhombus. We want to find the absolute difference between the length of the diagonals. According to me, if I would have looked at this question in an exam situation, I would have immediately first drawn a diagram, because I know that in a rhombus, the diagonals are perpendicular bisectors of each other. So I would take this diagonal as A, this diagonal, this much as A and this much as A. That means taking one of the diagonals as 2A and this as B and this as B. And they have told us that the side of the rhombus is 36. Okay. So this is 36, not drawing the whole rhombus also. And the area of the rhombus is 396. I don't even, if I know that the rhombus will basically get 4 parts, I can just take area of one triangle also. 396 divided by 4. We'll do that also. What do we want to find? We want to find the difference between the length of the sides of diagonals of the rhombus. That means I want to find 2a minus 2b. That is the important part you have to remember. A lot of students made a mistake over here. They found only a minus b. We have to find 2a minus 2b. So let's see what all can we get. If I just look at this triangle, I know that a square plus b square is 36 square, which we know is 1296. So that's my first equation. And area of the rhombus is 396, which I can do half d1 into d2, or it is the same as area of the triangle will be 1/4 of 396. So I can do half into a into b is equal to 1/4 of 396. So 2 1s are 2 2s are cut. In fact, let's just find 2ab. Just take this 2 on the other side, and 2ab is 396. I hope you realize why I found 2ab. Because what do I want to find? I want to first find a minus b, then I'll obviously double it up. Now, what is a minus b the whole square ka formula? A minus b the whole square is nothing but a square plus b square minus 2ab. Now, a square plus b square is 1296 minus 396, which will come out to be 900. So we've got a minus b the whole square is 900. Therefore, a minus b will become 30. All calculations are oral. As I said, a lot of people made a mistake and gave the answer to this question as 30. We have to find 2 times a minus b. So that will be 2 into 30, which will be 60. Okay, since it was a theta question, this is the answer which you will input, 60. Where would you place this question in an exam situation? If I was writing CAT 25 slot 1 and this was the first question which I saw, I would have definitely solved it at that time only, calling it a level A question. Very straightforward. Let's have a look at the next question. Stocks ABC are priced at 120, 90 and 150 per share. So there are 3 prices. A trader holds a portfolio of 10 shares of A, 20 shares of B, and 20 shares of B and C put together. Okay. If the value of the portfolio is 3,300, find the number of shares of stock B that she holds. So we want to find B, the quantity of B. Okay. We have the prices 120. You can take 2 variables, you can take 1 variable, there's no problem. We know there are company A, there are exactly 10 shares. So 120 rupees into 10. That is definitely company A. For company B, which I want to find, I'll take the variable. So 90 into X. And B plus C together was 20. That means I can take C into 20 minus X. Because if total of B and C is, you could have taken one more variable and formed a simultaneous equation. I'm forming only a single variable equation. This whole thing is equal to 3,300. You can see that you can cut 1 0 out completely, that is divided by 10. Always when you cut this way out now, your calculations become much easier. You can cut further with 3. 3 4s are 12, 3 3s are 9, 3 5s are 15, 3 11s are, and then there's 110. I don't think so really anything else is cutting. So what are we left with? This is 40, 4 10s are 40 plus 3x plus 100 minus 5x is equal to 110. So we've got 3x minus 5x is negative 2x. 40 plus 100 is 140. 110 minus 140 will become minus 130. So sorry, that will become minus 30. 110 minus 140 will become minus 30. Negative negative cuts out. So x becomes 15. Do check properly what we wanted to exactly find. We wanted to find x only because we wanted to find the number of shares of B. X is definitely 15. Again, in an exam situation or whatever, this is definitely a level A question. Straightforward question, nothing much to think about. And even the calculations, once you cut out the zeros and divide by 3, become very, very straightforward. Let's have a look at the next question. Okay, the topic is PNC, which itself will kind of make it a B or a C for a lot of students. But let's see what it is. A cafeteria offers 5 types of sandwiches. So the types of sandwiches which it has is 5. Moreover, for each type of sandwich, a customer can choose 1 out of the 4 breads. So, it's just about what choices I have. Breads, I have 4. I can opt for a small size or a large size sandwich. That means for size, there are 2 sizes. Optionally, the customer may also add up to. Now, this was the part where a lot of students made mistake. Up to, may also add up to out of 6 available sauces. So there were 6 over here, but he can add up to 2. That was the main thing over here. Okay. Find the number of different ways in which an order can be placed for a sandwich. So if I don't look at the sauces wala part right now, suppose there are 5 different type of sandwiches available. I can choose any one of them because I want one sandwich. I can take any one type of bread. So selection. So that is why it is C. So there will be one type of bread, 4. One type of size, small or large or whatever, that is 2C1. Now comes the main part, the sauces. It is not 62. I have to choose up to 2 sauces. That means I can choose 2 sauces, 1 or 0. Very important. So, or that is why the bracket will come. I will choose 2 sauces, which will be 6C2, or 1 sauce, which will be 6C1, or 0 sauces, which will be 6C0. And we will get 5C1 is 5, 4C1 is 4, 2C1 is 2. So 5 4s are 20, 22s are 40. We have already got. Let's do this calculation carefully. If you know 6C2 orally, that's great. If not, you would just calculate it in a rough work. 6 into 5 upon 2, which is 15. 6C1 will be 6, 6C0 will be 1. So this will be 21 plus 1, 22. So it will be 40 into 22, which is 880, which is the first option. So I would say it's an easy question from PNC. Lot of students who had studied PNC well would have got it, but I would still not call it a A. It is a B because of this up to part also, where a lot of students would have maybe made an error. Not a very difficult question, but still not a very straightforward question. Let's have a look at the next question. The next question talks about Kamala divided an investment of 1 lakh rupees between stocks, bonds and gold. Her investment was kept at 25%. In bonds was 25% of the investment in gold. So very frankly, because everything is a percentage, if you want, you can also choose 100x and then 25x and so on. But you can also take gold as 4x, and therefore bonds will become 1x. This is the investment in gold and investment in bonds. And for investment in stocks, what you can do is you can take a variable y, or you can take 1 lakh minus 5x. Just be careful, whichever way you do it, just be careful with the calculations. Let's put the percentages down. Now, the order is not same. With annual returns of 10% on stocks. So on this, there is 10%, 6% on bonds, and 8% on gold. The total return they've told is 8,200. So let's try this. So first, if I do 10% of this, so 10 upon 100 into 1 lakh minus 5x plus 6 upon 100 into x plus 8 upon 100 into 4x. Okay, if I don't cut anything, especially because I will get the 100 LCM on the other side, this will become 10 lakhs minus 50x plus 6x plus 32x is 82000000. That is 8,20,000. So 10 lakh minus 8,20,000 will be 1,80,000 is equal to, this will become 38 and this will become minus 50. So that will become, how much will that become? That will become 12x, right? Now, so x I will get, if I solve this 1,80,000 divided by 12, I will get x as 15,000. Remember, this is not what was asked. Read the question carefully. The amount of rupees she gained from bonds. Bonds was, we got this as 15,000, but 6% of that. So we want to find only 6% of 15,000. 2 zeros cut out. Answer would be 900 rupees. Okay. Again, whether you use one variable, two variables, whether you remove the zeros initially, like one more approach could have been, just don't take these 2 zeros at the start and don't take these 2 zeros at the start. Calculations would become smaller with that. Okay. And you would get same thing, 900 rupees. You would have got 9 and then at the end you would just put 2 zeros. There can be a completely different approach for this question also. Okay. This is a good approach. Let's talk about a complete different approach for this question also. Now, I know the returns are 6 and 8% on bonds and gold. And bonds and golds I invested in the ratio 1:4. So pay attention, 6%, 8%, and they are invested in the ratio 1:4. So using allegations or simple weighted average, I can calculate this number orally. This number can be calculated as 6 ones are 6 plus 8 fours are 32 divided by 1 plus 4, 5. 38 divided by 5, 7.6%. You can also do this by other approaches, which very frankly right now are not needed. 7.6% is the returns I would get from gold and gold and bonds, right? So that has already given me 7.6%. Now pay attention very carefully. The total returns is how much? 8,200 on 1 lakh, which is 8.2%. On the investment on stocks, there is a return of 10%. And on these two together, bonds and golds together, we have already got 7.6%. And the average is 8.2%. If I use allegations over here, 8.2 minus 7.6 is 0.6. And 10 minus 8.2 is 1.8. If I cut this, I get directly 1:3. With that, what happens? This is 3 parts. 3 parts out of 1 lakh. Now, what is out of 3 parts? What is 1 lakh? It is 75,000. So 3 by 4 of 1 lakh is 75,000. 75,000 is these two. What are these two? Bonds and golds, where bond was 1 part and gold was 4 parts. So hence bonds will become 1/5 of 75,000, which is 15,000, and 6% on that. So 6% of 15,000 would become 900 rupees. I just want people to tell me in the chat how many people thought of this approach. I don't know whether you did it in the exam situation or not, but even after coming out or something, did you think of this approach that this question can be done through allegations without any variables? Yes, I'm not saying that either of the methods are easier or difficult. The first method also by itself is a pretty decent method. But if you look at allegations, averages and such topic, I would put this as somewhere between A and B, more A, less B. Okay, that's how I would look at this question. Let's look at the next question. The next question is a slightly longer read, so we'll have to be just very careful when we're reading. The ratio of the number of students in the morning shift and afternoon shift of a school was 13:9. So if I start the morning shift as 13x and the afternoon shift as 9x, that's the first part. After 21 students were moved from the morning shift to the afternoon shift. So morning may say 21 left and 21 joined over here. The ratio now became 19:14. calculations are bad to reach x, but the square, since you have a calculator, it should not be so bad. This will be 140 plus 42, 182, 280 plus 14, 294. So 182x minus 294 is equal to how much? 19 nines are. 19 nines is 19 20 is 20. So yeah, 19 20s is whatever. 19 10s is 190. 190 minus 19 is 171. So this will give me 171x plus 399. Okay, so I've got a 11x is equal to 500. So this will be 13 9 693. X is equal to 63. So we got x ka value. I'll show you a couple of approaches, so don't worry. Yeah, calculations, as I said, in this question are slightly longer with different approaches. I will try and change whether we can make the calculations easier. Okay, so what would we get if I continue further? So x I got 63. That means in the morning shift there are 13 into 63 students. Okay, 13 3s are 39, 3 carry 78, 78 plus 3, 13 6 are 78, 78 plus 3 is 81, so 819 students. In the afternoon shift there were 9 into 63, 9 3s are 27, 2 carry 54 plus 2, 56, 567 students, right? Now let's continue. What have we been told further? Next, some new students join the morning and the afternoon shift in the ratio 3:8. That means in 819, suppose now we are taking the common variable as y. So in 819, 3y students entered, and in 567, 8y students entered. Okay. Okay. Before that, there is a small error. We had to not only find this, we also had to subtract 21 and add 21 because it was after that. So this will change. We will have to subtract 21, add 21. So subtract 21 over here. That will become 798, and add 21 over here. That will become 588. Great. So that's a small change. Now after that, we said 3y students have to enter over here and 8y students have to enter over here, making this ratio 5:4. Instead of cross multiplying, I'll at least cut with 5. That will make life easier. 4 ones are 4. Cut with 4, sorry. 4 ones are 4. 4 fours are 16. 2 7. 4 twos are this. Cross multiply, so I'll get 798 plus 3y is equal to 147 5s. That is 735 plus 10y. So we've got 798 minus 735. That will be 63. 63 is equal to 7y. Y is equal to 9. What have they asked for? Always read very carefully what they've asked for before marking the answer. The number of new students who joined. So the number of new students who had joined was 3y plus 8y, which is 11y. And 11y will become 99, which is the first option. So your final answer is 11y, which was asked. Y was 9, so 11y will be 99. This is one way of doing it. There are a lot of small approaches which can make your calculations easier. Always learn to do that, make your calculations easier. Like for example, I'm going to show you a couple of approaches over here. I'm going to talk about at least 2 more approaches. So if I do my first step where I did 13x minus 21, suppose I'm continuing with the same thing, and 13x plus 21 is in the ratio 19:14. Sorry, not 13x, this was 9x. Okay, what I could also, I knew that the calculations were longer. So what I can also do is I can use like a componendo dividendo. So you can use both componendo and dividendo. So, but there's no point, just use only dividendo. If you use only dividendo, what will you get? So you'll get this minus this. So you will get 4x over here. Okay. And you are adding. So minus 20, you're subtracting, sorry. So minus 21 plus 20, minus 21 will become how much? Minus 42 upon 9x plus 21 is equal to 5 upon 14. just your calculation became slightly more easier. 14 4 is 56x. I'm just going to calculate till the value of x because this method remaining part will be same. 14 40 is 560, 560 plus 28 is 588 is equal to 45x plus 105. We'll just reach to the value of x whether we got x right. Okay, so 56x minus 45x will become 11x is equal to 588 plus 105. So 588 plus 100 is 688, 688 plus 5 is 693. We had got the exact same thing, so x will become 63. After x is 63, the method remains the same. My whole logic was make that slightly more difficult calculation easier by doing some rules of mathematics. Now let's try and use a completely different method where can we get this, whether x is 63 or whether I take that as x or not in this method. We'll talk about that also. Okay, completely different approach. Now, over here they told us morning and evening ka ratio is 13:9. So if I take morning, just write 13, don't write 13x now. Evening is 9 and write total as 22. Okay, same way you can write later it became 19:14 and the total became 33. Now if you understand the logic, 21 students moved from one shift to the other shift. Does that mean the total changed? No, no, total number of students remain the same only. So can we make this total same by taking LCM? What is LCM of 22 and 33? 66. That means multiply the full first line by 3 and the second line by 2 and we will get morning as 39, 27, 66, 38, 28, 66. So with these numbers, it means that the morning shift is decreasing by 1 and the evening shift is increasing by 1. But really they had said 21 students shifted, which means this 1 is as good as 21. To make that 21, everything will have to be multiplied by 21. Okay. Anyway, we don't want to find the initial number of students. We want to find what happened afterwards. So multiply these by both 21. That means after the transfer, morning shift at 38 into 21, 38 into n. Whenever I'm multiplying, if I look at the other number and say numbers are only tables of 2 or 1, it's easy. 38 ones is 38, 3 carry, 38 twos is 76, 76 plus 3, 798, which is what we had got earlier also. And evening shift, we have 28, 28 into 21, same way I can do it much easily. 28 ones is 28, 2 carry, 56 plus 2 is 588. So do you realize that 798 and 588, which we had got by the slightly longer approach initially, we've reached much, much faster. The remaining part will again remain the same, so no change in that part. So I will not again show that part because I've already done that once. So I would prefer that now a lot of students who are going to now write the CAT 26 and are seeing this video now should understand this approach what I've done over here instead of just blindly using variables. So whenever there is shifting, the total remains the same. That makes life easier. Let's have a look at the next question. The next question talks about a container which holds 200 liters of a solution of acid and water, having 30% acid by weight. Atul replaces 20% of the solution and with water. So he takes first initially removes the acid plus water, replaces only with water. Then replaces 10% with acid and then replaces 15% again with water. So there are 3 transactions. Once he replaces with water, second time with acid, third time again with water. The percentage of acid by volume in the final solution obtained after the 3 replacements is nearest to what? Now one thing is very clear. This 200 was useless. I should have done with 100 only, because if I do with 100, anyway the answer which I will get will be the percentage. So one part was at least get the 200 out from the question, make 100. So initially out of this 100, 30% was acid, which means if I take my total 100, water was 70 and acid was 30. Remember the right hand side is acid. Now we are removing 20% and replacing with water. Now whenever we've been taught such questions, we've been told that you should always work on the liquid which is not coming back. In case 1, acid is not coming back. So let's remove 20% of 30 or do 0.8 into 30, which is whatever is left off, whatever you're comfortable with. So if you multiply, 80% of this is left off. So into 0.8. So here directly 24 is left. Now, why should you not worry about the water part? Because you're replacing with water. So 24 was acid. So automatically with the two transactions, that means acid, water coming out, water going in, we'll be left with 76 because the total has to come 100. Second time, we are removing what? Now see, we are removing 10% and replacing with acid. So this time work only on water. So do over here same thing into 0.9. So let's do the calculation. 9 6 are 54, 5 63 plus 5 68. So 68.4 liters. 68 point, if you wanted to avoid the decimal, you could have started with 1000. 68.4 liters of water is there. Out of 100, everything else will be acid. So 30. So 70, then 30 is left. So 31.6 is left. Now I would say this was the only step maybe where you required a calculator, because that will anyway give you the final answer. Now third time 15% is removed and replaced with water. That means after, for the third time what will I have to do? I just have to multiply this part by 0.85. Yes, this calculation was not oral. So 31.6 into 0.85 comes approximately 26.8 something. Okay, when you do it on the calculator, which is closest to 27. If you do this question by this method, I thought it was a very standard approach. Main thing was not wasting your time calculating how much, in the first case, how much water comes out, then water is added back, because whatever is acid is left off, remaining will be water. 100 minus over here, whatever water is left off, remaining will be acid. And last time I don't even have to calculate, into 0.85. So let's understand why into 0.8, 0.9 and 0.85. Here we are removing 20%. So we are left with 80%. That is why into 0.8. Here we are removing 10%. So that is why into 0.9. And here we are removing 15%. So into 0.85. Very straightforward question. Don't try any other approaches for this question. There is no need to actually get into numbers too much. Okay. We've also got into numbers, but we've got them into a smarter way. Let's have a look at the next question. A shopkeeper offers a discount of 22% on the mark price of each chair. So discount is 22%. But he also gives 13 chairs to a customer for a discounted price of 12 chairs. So that means somebody who's coming to buy 12 chairs, he gives them one extra chair for free and still makes a profit of 26% on the transaction. If the cost price is 100 rupees per chair, then find the mark price of each chair. So mark price obviously will be more than 100. Let's pay attention carefully. So if I say, let the mark price be 100x. 100x makes my calculation easier. Cost price I already know. And so at the end also I know I have to find 100x. Now, what is the discount he first offers? 22%. So selling price of one chair is actually 78x. 100x minus 22x, 78x is the selling price. Now, pay attention carefully. How much money does he get? Because the customer buys only 12 chairs from him. So what is his total selling price? It is 78x into 12. Don't do the calculation, leave it as it is. 78x into 12 is the selling price total. What is the cost price? 100 rupees was the price of one chair, but he's giving away 13 chairs. So his total cost price is 100 into 13. And this is profit is how much? 26%. So when profit is 26%, selling price upon cost price will be 126 upon 100, right? Calculate this and you just need to calculate 100x, remember. So, okay, I'm going to take this 13, 6 are 78 cuts out over here. Okay, 100 cuts out, I'll multiply at the end again. 6 ones are 6, 21s are. So I've got x is equal to 21 upon 12. That is 3 4s are 3 7s are. X is 7 upon 4. We want to calculate 100x. So 100 into 7 upon 4, which will be 25 7s are 175. That becomes the mark price of one chair. Very, very straightforward question. If you did it neatly by this method, 100x was the mark price. Selling price became 78x. I just took the total selling price. So this is total selling price upon total cost price. Because I sold 12 items, but I had to give 13. That is why cost price I have to do for 13. And became a very straightforward method. I think this is a pretty straightforward question. Definitely a level A question. Let's have a look at the next question. the number of non-integer values of k for which the particular quadratic equation is only integer roots. Okay, pretty interesting. We want non-integer values of k also, and we want roots also to be integer. Because the roots were integer, I thought of using the sum of the roots and the product of the roots ka approach. Also because everything was non-integer, this was non-negative. So alpha plus beta, sum of the roots is what? Minus b by a. So in this case, sum of the roots will become phi, and product of the roots is c by a, so became k. Now we know we want non-negative integral values of a, that's okay. So k has to be greater than or equal to 0. Now because k has to be greater than or equal to 0, sum of the roots is phi. Either both can be negative or both can be positive. Now think logically, if alpha plus beta is phi, can both be negative? Obviously not, then the product sum would become negative. And both can be positive is the only possibility. Obviously maybe 0 is also allowed, because here k greater than 0 is also allowed. So alpha plus beta is phi, alpha and beta both will also be greater than or equal to 0. Very important to understand that. Once you understood that, I thought the sum was very simple. So what were the different cases you could take for alpha beta? We could take 0 comma phi, because 0 plus 5 is phi. We can take 1 comma 4, and we can take 2 comma 3. Please don't take again 5 comma 0, 4 comma 1 and 3 comma 2, because that will be the same cases. Now what will we get for k? Over here I will get k as 0. Here I will get k as 4. So it is satisfying my conditions, and k is 6. So there are 3 values of k which we are getting over here by this logic. Understand, this method worked really well because everything was an integer. And once I know everything was integer, I know there will be 3 possible values of k. So answer for this question will be 3 values. Obviously you can use a traditional method also, which I'll discuss. This is also more traditional only. There's nothing really different, something which struck. So 2 approaches. Whatever, if I have one more approach over here, what can be the other approach? The other approach which we can do over here is that I can find what is the formula by using quadratic x ka formula. X is equal to minus b, so phi plus or minus root of b square minus 4ac upon 2a. 2a is 2 only, right? Now think, this part has to be a perfect square root. So if you think logically, if you start taking, and you're allowed to take k as 0, yeah, they had told us non-negative integral values of k. So we can start with k as 0. If I take k as 0, what will I get? I'll get x is equal to phi plus or minus root of 25 upon 2. I can clearly see both of them give me integer roots only, right? Phi plus phi, 10 upon 2 is phi. Phi minus phi, 0 upon 2 is 0. So we got 2 answers over here. Now, obviously k cannot be 1, because if I take 1, 25 minus 4 is 21, which is not a perfect square. K cannot be 2, because 25 minus 8 is also not a perfect square. K cannot be 3, 25 minus 12. K can be 4, because 25 minus 16 is 9. So the next possible value for k is 4. So x is phi plus or minus root of 25 minus 16, which is 9 upon 2a. Root 9 is 3. So 5 plus 3, 8. 8 divided by 2 was 4, and minus 3. So that will come 1. And last, k can be 6, because the square root can be 1. So x is equal to 5 plus or minus root of 1 upon 2. 5 plus 1, 6. 6 upon 2 is 3. And 5 minus 1, 4. 4 upon 2 is 2. So we've got 3 comma 2 as a last. So anyway, we wanted values of k. How many values of k? So we again got the same 3 values. K is 0, k is 4, and k is 6. So answer is 3. Whichever method you could have done, I would put this as a level B, maybe not a level A, because looking at the quadratic integral, the main advantage why this sum I thought was not very difficult was because they spoke about integral roots everywhere. K also was non-negative integral values. If they had said k was negative, there will be so many values, because 25 plus something will come in the square root, and you will keep having more and more values, right? Let's have a look at the next question. Question from quadratic equation, not quadratic equation, coordinate geometry. Again, if you've done coordinate geometry decently well, it's a slightly long question, but not a very, very difficult question. Again, that's my whole logic. Okay, pay attention, what will we get? Now, they've told us the xy coordinates of vertices PQR of a parallelogram PQRS are given. So, if I know the quadrilateral is PQRS, they have given for PQ and R. That means they're not given for S. So, this is P, this is Q, this is R, and this is S. S we don't know. Let's call it as X comma Y. P I know is negative 3 comma minus 2. Q I know is 1 comma minus 5. And this is 9 comma 1. Right? What have they asked for that? If the diagonal SQ is drawn, intersects the x-axis at a comma 0, find the value of a. That means, in short, first I want to find the equation of this line. If I get the equation of this line, in that I will put y as 0 and I'll get x. Equation of a line, the most common formula for equation of a line is y minus y1 is equal to m into x minus x1. All those students who have done maths well in school days would definitely remember this very well. They've done obscene number of questions of this type. Now, can you find S or any other point on S to give us y1, x1 and the slope? Because slope ka formula will be y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. So, I need one more point to find the slope. Remember, the diagonals are not perpendicular. So, you can't find slope of PR and make it inverse reciprocal. That will not work. So, we know the property that the four vertices of a parallelogram such are that because the midpoint is common, I can find midpoint also. I can find PR and find midpoint of that, or I can find S by doing this plus this minus this. Because in short, the vertex of P plus vertex of R will be equal to vertex of S plus Q. So let's do totally. 9 minus 3 is 6. 6 minus 1, this will become 5. Just look at the approach. 9 minus 3. 6. 6 minus 1. Why minus? Because this plus this has to become 6. Okay. 1 minus 2. Minus 1. Like how we did 9 minus 3, 6. So 1 minus 2 minus 1. Minus 1 plus 5. Minus 1 plus 5 is 4. So this will come out to be 4. Okay. Let's just check that. 5 plus 1 is 6. This is also 6. 1 minus 2 is minus 1. Minus 5 plus 4 is also minus 1. So perfect. So S we got. As I said, we could have found the midpoint also, but doesn't make any difference. Let's finish the slope over here. That will be y2 minus y1. So I can take any y2, any y1. 4 minus 5. That will become 9 upon 5 minus 1. 4. So slope is 9 by 4. Apply it in this equation to find the equation. So y minus 4 is 9 by 4 into x minus 5. Cross multiply. 4y minus 16 is 9y minus 45. Sorry, 9x, that will be 9x minus 45. You can write it whichever way you want, okay, because anyway you have to find the equation properly. So I can write negative 16 plus 45. I bring it over here. So that will be 29, right? So 29 will be 9x minus 4y. That's the equation of the diagonal SQ. What have they asked for? We want the, when it cuts the x-axis. So in short, y is 0. So in this equation, I just have to put y as 0. So therefore, I'll directly get 29 is equal to 9x. X is 29 upon 9, which is nothing but your value of A. A is 29 upon 9, which is your first option. So, you know, it's maybe a long question. A lot of people who haven't done coordinate geometry will call it a level B. Maybe a level C also. Some of the people who don't remember their slope formulas, equation of a line formula will call it C also. But very frankly, anybody who done pair of lines and all in 12th standard or 10th standard coordinate geometry also well would have got this question very, very easily. Let's have a look at the next question. The next question was a pretty interesting question. When I read this question first time, I just thought that, okay, this will be most probably work out, and that's how I did it. Obviously, I'll try and discuss a couple of approaches. One is the intuition which I got, how I got it, and more or less I'll work on that. In the set of consecutive numbers from 1 to 57, odd consecutive numbers, so 1, 3, 5, 7, up till 57. Now, we all know the formula for odd numbers, like sum of odd numbers is n square. the sum of all odd numbers is n square. We'll use it with them. And there is a number k. So out of these numbers, there is one number k, such that all elements of less than k is equal to sum of all elements greater than k. Okay, so we need to find that k. And there were options also. That was the best part. So in fact, this question, I thought should have been done with options. If you didn't think of the intuition, didn't get the intuition which I got, you could have definitely used options. Okay, so now what is the sum up till 57? When I look till 57, there are 29 numbers, so n is 29. 29 numbers ka square, so sum will be 29 square, which will be 841. When I was looking at this and I just saw the options were 41, I just thought, okay, 841 minus 41. So suppose if 41 is that number, that means 400 on this side and 400 on that side, and that's how I quickly got the answer. And that's what also you should have done. Maybe in your options, 41 was not the first option, but still it will not take a lot of time. For example, if I had to check with 37, so 841 minus 37 is how much? 804. Yes, you can have 402, 402, and you'll have to check with 41 also. Huh? So I'm just showing you. So you can still have 402 and 402 over here. Now the whole point is the total of 1 to 35, 402. It cannot be 402 because 402 is not even a perfect square. 402 is not a perfect square, so this answer cannot be possible. I'm showing you how to eliminate all options, because otherwise a lot of people will say, sir, just mark the answer. So 804 minus 43 is how much? 761. Is 761 a perfect square? I don't think so. 761 is also a perfect square. So this also is out. Actually, not even 761. Sorry, this is incorrect. So let's just change that. It's not 804. It was 841 minus 43. So let's just please change that. 841 minus 43. 11 minus 3 is 8. This will be 9, 798. Divide 798 into two parts. That will be how much? 394. 394 is not a perfect square. Don't waste your time. And that way, when you do 841 ke liye, you will realize with 41 ke liye why it works. 841 minus 41 is 800. Make 400, 400 on both sides. Perfect square, 200. Yes, if it was a theta question, then the method could have been very long and all that. But right now it wasn't. Answer is option A. You all can check maybe with 39 also. I did with 3 options. So assuming that 41 was not your first option. Because if 41 was my first option, I would have actually checked that only really well. So if 41 was my first option, something like this, what I would have done. I know that 29 square came out to be 841. 841 minus 41 came out to be 800. 400, 400. Then what I know is that means if 41 is that middle number, so 1, 3, 5, 7, dash, 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 there is 41 in the middle, then there is 43, dash, 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 up to 57, right? Now, so the second last, the one number before 41 is 39. Is this total 400 or not? I just need to check that. How many numbers are these? If you check, these are exactly 20 numbers. And because they are 20 numbers, their square is 400. 20 square is 400. So sum of these numbers is 400. Obviously, after that, you should not waste your time checking the sum of these squares. Answer is 41. Pretty interesting question. Don't try any other stunts. Simple with options and you should have got it. Let's have a look at the next question. The next question is a slightly difficult question, I would say. So let's have a look at it very carefully. For any natural number k, ak is 3 raised to k. That means if I start the series with k as 1, then the first term will be 3 raised to 1, then 3 raised to 2 and so on. The smallest natural number n for which this part, let's look at the left hand side separately first, this much is the left hand side, should be less than this part. Okay, so I'm going to look at two parts separately, left hand side and right hand side. So if I'm looking at only at the LHS, what is my first term? My first term will be 3 raised to 1 raised to 1 multiply by 3 raised to 2 raised to 2 multiply by 3 raised to 3 raised to 3 up till 3 raised to 20 raised to 20. So over here clearly the powers are going to be added. So what are the powers now? If I look at the left hand side powers, the powers are going to be 1 plus 4 plus 9 plus 16 dash 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 up till 400. These are nothing but some of the squares of natural numbers. for which we know a formula. So 1 square plus 2 square plus 3 square up to 20 square, we know a formula. The formula for that is n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 upon 6. So if I apply it over here, I'll get 20, n is 20, there are 20 terms. So 20 into 21 into 41 upon 6. 3 2s are, 3 7s are, 2 1s are, 2 10s are. 41 7s are is 287, 287 10s are will be 2870. So that is my LHS. So my LHS should be 2870 and the right hand side has to be greater than that. Now what is the right hand side? Remember, in the right hand side there is no square. It starts with the 21st term, but there is no square on the right hand side. So my right hand side, so my left hand side will not be 2870, it will be 3 raised to 2870. Okay, that's okay. Anyway, the 3 will not matter. I'll explain how in the next step. 3 raised to 2870. So the right hand side will be 3 raised to 21 multiply by 3 raised to 22 multiply by 3 raised to 23 dash 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 up to 20 plus m. Up to 20 plus m, where we have options also. So we'll come to that. Up to 3 raised to 20 plus m, where this power now should be, the power over here which I get over here should be greater than 2870. So now do you realize why the 3 was not important? So I will now work only on this much, that 21 plus 22 plus 23 up to 20 plus m has to be greater than 2870. Right now, I would have definitely looked at options, and as my habit is, I always start with the middlemost option. So 57 or 58, any one of them. Let's start with 57. So suppose if m was 57, that term would become how much? This term would have become 77. Now, so 21 to 77, first of all, is how many terms? Let's understand that first. Okay. When I say 21 to 77, that will, I think, make 57 terms, right? 21 to 77. So 77 minus 21 is 56. 56 plus 1, 57 terms. So what is the sum of these 57 terms? That's what I'm going to do. Simple. Where anyway, when I'm using, if I have the first and the last term, the SN formula is very simple. So I'll take first term plus last term upon 2 into n. So we just said n was 57 terms. So this will be 98. 98 divided by 2 will be 49. 49 into 57. We can multiply 49 into 57, or we can do 57 into 50 minus 57. Whatever way you want to do this, let's just get it over here. So I'm going to do 57 into 50, which is 35, 3, 2850. 2850 minus 57. So anyway, I can know that it is going to come lesser than this. That's okay. But let's just do that, finish the calculation of it. Will be 2793. Yeah, it should be 2793. So 57 is not my answer. So if 57 is not my answer, see, why do I check with the middlemost option? Because if 57 is not my answer, even 56 is not my answer. Let's check for 58. Now don't do the whole calculation again. Only one more term gets added. That means in short over here, I have to add 78. 77 was the last term. So only one term gets added, 78. So that will be 11, 17, 1, 2871. So it has just gone over 2870. So which means that is your answer, which is the option C. Pretty interesting question, difficult question. Definitely in an exam situation, the way to look at it, it is a level C question. But over future preparation and all that, it becomes a nice question to understand that finally it is nothing but a slightly more difficult question of numbers, where we are talking about two formulas. One is this formula and one is maybe a progression formula. Let's have a look at the next question. In a class, there were more than 10 boys. The number of boys were more than 10 and a certain number of girls. Okay. So 40% of, after 40% of the girls and 60% of the boys left the class. Now 40%, what is 40%? 40% is 2 by 5 and 60% is 3 by 5. So 40% of the boys left the, girls left the class and 60% of the boys left the class. After that, they have said the remaining number of girls was 8 more than the remaining number of boys. Now, the main thing over here, because this calculation, because of this step, we should realize that the number of boys and girls both had to be multiples of 5. So I would start with, let the number of boys be 5x, let number of girls be 6x. That's very important. The whole idea, once you understand this, why 5x and 6x, because they had to be multiple. Now, let's see, 40% of the girls left. Sorry, 6, you can't take 6x, sorry, you'll have to take some other variable. So 6y. Okay. So 5y, I mean, sorry. I don't know what I was thinking, why I got to 6. So boys is 5x, girls is 5y. Both had to be multiples of 5. Now, 40% of the girls left. So 40% of 2 by 5, which means 2y girls left. So 3y girls are remaining. The number of girls remaining are 3y. And same way for boys, the number of boys remaining are 2x. And they said the number of girls was 8 more than the number of boys. That means 3y minus 2x is 8. 3y minus 2x is 8. That is what is told to us. Then the minimum possible number of students in the class. Now, a good trap had been set over here. This was the place where the trap was perfect. People would look at this in an exam situation and say x can be 2. Now, we clearly know x cannot be 1, because if I take x as 1, 8 plus 2 is 10, y is not divisible then. We need y to be an integer and x also to be an integer. So, can x be 2? And lot of people would have done that also, because if when I take x as 2, right hand side becomes 4 and right hand side becomes 12 and y becomes 4. And a lot of people would say, okay, this looks right. 5y is 20, 5 2s is 10, 5 4s is 20 and 5 2s is 10. 20 plus 10, 30. It was a theta question. A lot of people would have input answer as 30. But when you take x as 2, boys become 10. And they had mentioned there are more than 10 boys. And that is why this answer is incorrect. So now you'll have to go to the next step. X cannot be 3, because if we put x as 3, 6, 8 plus 6 becomes 14. 14 is not divisible by 3. Can x be 4? Okay. So if x is 4, 4 to the 8, 8 plus 8, 16. That also is not possible. Can x be 5? Yes, x can be 5. If x is 5, we will get 10, 8 plus 2, 8 plus 10, 18. So x can be 5. If x is 5, I'll get 3y minus 10 is 8. So 3y is 18. Therefore, y is 6. So I've got x as 5, y as 6. Now what further? Let's try and understand the question further. What have they asked for? Minimum possible total number of students in the class. So total 5x. 5x boys would be 25 and 5y girls would be 30 and total number of students would be 55 minimum. Obviously, without minimum, so obviously the answer becomes cannot be determined, because you can keep going ahead. But the good trap was set over here. If this was not given, then maybe the answer would have been 30. So simple question, but with a small trap. I would put it as a level A question. Let's have a look at the question from Logarithms. Now, very interesting question. 2 traps in the question. You have to be very, very, very careful. Okay. So first of all, log n square minus 7 plus 11 to the base 1 by 4. So instead of whole number base, there's a 1 by 4. So for people who don't understand this very carefully, I'm just doing an extra step. The ones who know it directly could have done it directly. So this becomes upon log 1 by 4 is greater than 0. What is log 1 by 4? 1 by 4 itself can be written as 4 raised to minus 1. So I can write this as log n square minus 7n plus 11 upon log 4 raised to minus 1. Minus 1 comes in the front, so I'll get log n square minus 7n plus 11 upon minus 1 log 4 greater than 0. Okay. Now, because of the minus sign, we know it is negative. If I multiply both sides by negative 1 upon log 4, this inequality will change from greater than, it will become less than. So hence my inequality will become log n square minus 7n plus 11 is less than 0, because 0 multiplied by anything will become 0, but because you multiply by negative, therefore this became less than. Now, what will happen? 0 can be written as log 1. 0 can be written as log 1. And now what do we get there? Therefore, now the log gets, we can get rid of the log on both sides. So we get n square minus 7n plus 11 less than 1. So we'll get n square minus 7n plus 10 less than 0. And this is very important. Pay attention to this step, these two steps. Now, a lot of people would solve this and say, okay, n minus 5 into n minus 2 less than 0. So n is between 2 and 5. And integers that said, so between 2 and 5, we can have two integers. N can be 3 or n can be 4. But what a lot of people will forget over here and would have marked 2, which also CAT has done. CAT also has given the answer to this question is 2. But what a lot of people will forget that whenever you have logs, you need to check this and check whether this is coming out to be greater than 0 or not. So what will we get if we put 3? So if I put n as 3, we will get 9 minus 21 plus 11. That will be 20 minus 21 negative 1, which means 3 will not satisfy. Put n as 4. If I put n as 4, it will be 16 minus 28 plus 11, which will also be 27 minus 28, which will also be minus 1, which is not going to satisfy. So answer for this question will be 0. In the answer key, CAT has given this as the answer, and most probably they will correct it, and they will, when they come out with the results, they will either say that it was a mistake or whatever, and they'll just give this as the answer. So I would say a difficult question, couple of reasons. First of all, a lot of people don't get this step. Even if they get this step, they would have kind of made a mistake over here. So hence, I would say a difficult question of logs. Interesting one, good to learn some concepts, good to understand that why you should always check logs at the end. And that is why mods, logs, all those places you should always check at the end. And still a level C question below. Let's have a look at the next question, a question from geometry. The told us in a circle with center P and radius 6 root 2. PQ and SR are two parallel chords separated by one of the diameters. So initially when I read the question, I thought it was going to be a standard question of two parallel chords. It was not very standard, but it was not very difficult also. So let's say this is one chord, let's call it PQ, and there's one more chord which is SR. Okay. Now let's read further what they've told us. Radius is 6 root 2. I'll take that as I draw it further. They've told us angle PQC is 45 degrees. Okay. So center is C. PQC is 45 degrees. This is point C. So this will also be 45 degrees. Obviously 45, 45. So this will be 90 degrees. Let's read further. Now I can write the radius. Radius is 6 root 2. What else have they said? And the ratio of the perpendicular distance from PQ and SR is 3:2. So that means if I drop a perpendicular over here, CM, and I drop another perpendicular over here, CN, it is one the straight line, it will be CN. This ratio is 6:2. That means if I'll write that later, 3:2, sorry, not 6:2, 3:2. Then what is the area of the quadrilateral PQRS? So PQRS looks more like a trapezium, clearly, which means area of trapezium I need to find. So I need to know the parallel sides, and I then need to know the height. So I need to know PQ, SR, and I need MN. So from what I can see right now, PQs I'm going to get immediately. Because if this is 90, this is 45, this small triangle is also 45. So these both sides will be equal. You can use 45, 45, 90 theorem, and you will get CM is equal to QM. Both will be equal to 6. Whether you use 45, 45, 90 theorem, you use Pythagoras theorem, whatever you do, I don't need to show you the calculation. You can take x6 and then get it, or as I said, use 45, 45. So this is 6, this is 6. So obviously this is also 6. Perpendicular from a center of a circle bisects the chord. So we got PQ as 12 at least. Now if CM is 6, what is CN? Because their ratio was 3:2. CM ratio CN was 3:2. So if CM is 6, therefore CN will come out to be 4. So I've got CN as 4. And once I got CN 4, remember I still know the radius over here. Let's take this as the radius. This is still 6 root 2. This might not be a straight line. SCQ is not necessarily the diameter. It might be whatever. We'll come to that later. Doesn't matter to me. Now I can find Sn using Pythagoras. So I'll get Sn square will be 6 root 2 square minus 4 square. 6 square is 36, root 2 square is 2. So 36 to the 72, 72 minus 16 is 56. That is Sn square. So Sn will become root 56. 56 is 4 14s. So that will become 2 root 14. So I got Sn. So at this step, I'm feeling good because there are two options with root 14. So most probably one of them will be the answer. Now I want the area of the trapezium. What is the area of a trapezium? Ka formula half into sum of parallel sides. So this is 2 root 14. So this will also be 2 root 14. That means SR is 4 root 14. So area of the trapezium, sum of the parallel sides is 12 plus 4 root 14. PQ plus SR. And what about the height of the trapezium? 6 plus 4, 10. Right? So this will cut over here 5. I can take a 4 common. If I take a 4 common, I'll get 3 plus root 14 into the 5 outside. So that will become 20 into 3 plus root 14, which will be the third option. So if you think logically, it wasn't a very difficult question. Again, not a level A, maybe a level B, because when you read the question, you don't know everything. Once you draw the diagram, once you start realizing it, it is not a very difficult question. So as I always say, when a lot of students post the CAT will see it, they will feel it's a very easy question. But in the exam, maybe, people faltered a little bit, that nervousness, anxiety got to them. Let's have a look at the next question. I thought a very straightforward question. In a 3-digit number n, so n is a 3-digit number, the digits are all non-zero and distinct, so no zero is not allowed, and such that none of the digits is a perfect square. So 1, 4 and 9 is also not allowed. So 0, 1, 4, 9 is not allowed. So what all is allowed? 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Only that much is allowed. Let's read further. And only one of the digits is prime. So prime are 2, 3, 5 and 7. So one of them is prime. So can I say, since the other, there are only 2 more digits left. So 6 and 8 are definitely there in my number. So n will definitely have 6 and 8. Definitely, because I had only these 6 digits and they said only one is prime. Now, then the number of the factors of the minimum possible value of n. Now, if I want n to be minimum, okay, they are not talked about the order, but if I want n to be minimum, I want this number also to be minimum first. So out of 2 to 8, anyway, minimum is 2. So I will take 2. As soon as I took 2, I can't take 3, 5, 7. And the other two numbers will be 6 and 8. That means n becomes 268. After that, it was a very normal sum of finding factors of 268. So if I start factorizing 268, 268 is 134 over here. 2 goes 67. 67 is the prime number. So n can be written as 2 square into 67 raised to 1. So number of factors will become 2. I'm assuming you know the formula. That is whatever is the power plus 1 into power plus 1. So 2 plus 1, 3 into 1 plus 1, 2. So the number of factors is 3 to the 6 factors. I would put it as a level A question. Most of the concepts are very straightforward. You should have got it over here. Let's have a look at the next question. The next question is a question on functions using the topic of greatest integer function not exceeding x. So let me first, in fact, before we even go ahead, let me explain that logic to you. Suppose if I have a bracket like this and there's a 5, then the answer is 5 only, because greatest integer function less than or equal to 5 is 5. But what if there is a 5.3? Then also the answer is 5, because greatest integer function less than or equal to 5.3 will be 5, and so on. We'll be using it. Okay, so that was just to explain the function to you. Now let's read this question. If x is from 3 to 6, including both the values, then for which of the values, now this function has to hold true. Now let's understand this function very carefully. There is a square over here first, and then we will make it the greatest integer function. Here we are going to make the greatest integer function first and then the square. Okay, if s if set S represents all feasible values of X, then a possible subset of S is what? So the main thing was to check the values for roots. So in the options there are root 18, root 27, root 26 and all. I'm just going to check random some values and understand and explain to you that it will not satisfy for any of the roots first. So if I suppose if I took X as root 10, so the left hand side will be root 10 square and then the greatest integer function. So root 10 square is 10 and the answer to that will remain 10 only. But if I look at the right hand side, it will be root 10, the greatest integer function first and then square. Now what is root 10? Root 10 is approximately a little bit less than 3.2. Now 3.1 something. So 3.1 something will actually become 3 and then square of that will become 9 and 10 is not equal to 9. So for root 10, this does not satisfy and logically it will not satisfy for any other root. Now if I look at root 26, so root 26 over here, when I take square first and then the greatest integer function, so it will come 26, while here it will come root 27, okay, root 26 and then first the greatest integer function, then square. So root 26 will be 5 point something, 5.1, maybe not even exactly 5.1, but roughly 5.1. So after that, square of that will become what? So first this will become 5 and then square, it will become 25. So do you understand? It will not satisfy for any of the roots. Now, because it will not satisfy any of the roots, now let's understand the difference between this bracket and this bracket. This bracket means not including that value and this bracket means including that value. So can I say wherever there is a bracket where it includes the root value, that will not satisfy? So option B will definitely not satisfy. Option D also will not satisfy because both of them were with root 10 and there was a box bracket. Now between A and C, which option should I choose? Now let's think that. Now over here, there is 5 comma root 27. Now 5 is root 25. Between that there will be root 26. So if we are saying it is satisfying from 5 to root 27 everything, then you are trying to say it will satisfy for root 26, but we just check it does not satisfy for root 26. So logically this is not the answer. But where I had my query and I think that this question was not well framed, that between these two also there will be a root 25.5. They had not said X is a integer, means here they had said X is an integer, greatest integer, this is a function. But all feasible values of X. They haven't said that X has to be an integer. So X could be root 25.5 also. Okay, now if it was root 25.5, then it will not satisfy. So logically that this answer should also not satisfy. But out of the best options, the way it is, over here root 10 doesn't satisfy. And same logic I have that 3 satisfies. So over here maybe the bracket should have been like this. So because of all these things, I thought this was a level C question. In an exam situation, we should have left it alone because they will, there will always be a debate whether what satisfies, what not satisfies. Based on right now what the data is, the answer is option C. But in an exam situation, it would be very difficult to take a call and mark option C. Because what I could have also done was if I had looked for whole numbers, then I know 3 has to satisfy. So 1 out of B and D has to be the answer. That is how. So in fact, my gut feeling first would have been to mark option B because it will satisfy for 3 and so on. So that's why I think it's a slightly risky question to attempt. Put it as level C. And you just have to feel that, okay, it was a bad question, just leave it and move ahead further. Let's have a look at the next question, which is a question from time, speed, distance. They have told us Shruti travels a total distance of 224 kilometers in 4 parts for a total travel time of 3 hours. So 4 parts, total travel time is 3 hours. They haven't said the parts are equal. Her speeds in these 4 parts follow an arithmetic progression. So the speeds are all in arithmetic progression. And the corresponding time taken to cover these 4 parts also follow an arithmetic progression. So time is also arithmetic progression, speed is also arithmetic progression. If she travels at 960 meters per minute for the first 30 minutes. So initial speed is 960 meters per minute and first time is 30 minutes. Okay. Then the distance in meters she travels in the 4th part is what? So distance in the first part will be 960 into 30. That way, total time was 180 minutes. Now, the time is also an arithmetic progression. So time 2, time 3 and time 4. At this place, I thought you don't need to use variables at all. Because if I know 4 numbers and I know their total is 180 minutes, That means I know the total of first and last has to be 90. Total of first and last has to be 90. So if this is 30, this will have to be 60. Yes, you could do 30, 30 plus D, 30 plus 2D and 30 plus 3D, but very frankly, that was not needed. So this is in short 30 plus 3D is 60. So 3D is 30, so D is 10. Or once you know this is 30, this has to be 40, this has to be 50. So 30, 40, 50 minutes, total is 180 minutes. Here, yes, we can use a variable where the speeds will become 960 plus D, 960 plus 2D and 960 plus 3D. So what is distance? I'll have to multiply everything accordingly. So when I multiply, I'll also start cutting, and that's how I would look at it. So what I would do is 960, maybe I'll come is the first term, right? So I'll take 960 at the end. I'll take A plus D, A plus 2D, A plus 3D. Will make my calculations easier. So what's my first calculation? My first calculation will be distance will be 30A. Second calculation will be 40 into A plus D. Instead of writing the 960 every time, you'll have to just write 960 once at the end. Plus 50 into A plus 2D. Plus 60 into A plus 3D. And the total which is given is 224 kilometers. So that will be 224,000 meters. Okay. So we can divide by 10 and cut 1 0 out at least first directly. So now if I open the brackets up, I get 3A plus 4A plus 5A plus 6A. That will be 18A, again using arithmetic progression. 3 plus 6 is 9, so middle two are 9, 9 plus 9, 18. 4, 5, 6 will be 15. Sorry, it will not be 15 because this is 4D plus 10D. 4 plus 10 is 14D, 14 plus 18 will be 32D. Is 22400. I can clearly see I can divide by 2 again. 2. I will always prefer dividing at every step so that I make my calculations easier. 11200. When I put the value of A also, I can still divide further. 9 into 960 plus 16D is 11200. If you know your tables are 16, you will see this is 16 ones are, this is 16 60s are, and this is 16 sevens are, and therefore a lot of division happened. So 69 is 540. So D becomes 700 minus 540, which becomes 160. So something which looked like without calculator literally cannot be done became pretty doable. So we got D as 160. What have they asked for? They've asked for what the distance he travels in the fourth part. So fourth part, 960 plus 3D. 3D is 480 will be the speed. So 960 plus 480. That will be 1300 plus 140. So 1440 will be the speed in meters per minute, and 60 minutes is my time. So distance traveled in meters will be 1440 into 60, right? How much will that be? 0, 0 will come. 6 4s are 24, 2 carry 24 plus 2, 26, 2 carry 8. 86400, which is my first option. Now, if you see this question properly, what you've understood is that because of this calculations, the sum looked very difficult. Yes, it is still maybe between level B and level C. It's not a level A at all from time, speed, distance. But what you need to also understand, maybe you could have tried converting it into kilometers. Would the calculation become easier? I don't think so it would matter too much, because finally the answer was asked in meters again. So, and 86400, that means you would have got if you're converted, you would have got 0.864 kilometers, or 8.64 kilometers, sorry, and so on. So my point is, it's better to do it the same way as it is. Calculations don't look that bad. These are the 4 parts. Each part we did, and we concentrate more on the last part. Let's have a look at the next question. I thought this is one of the easier questions of this slot. Now, when I look at this question, they have given us 2 equations with A and B, ABC, sorry, and when ABC are real, and they've asked us for this. Now, what I realized what they've asked for and what they've given. Here they've given 3B minus 3C. Here also there is 3B minus 3C. And here they've given 6A and 2A. So in short, I said my answer which I want is nothing but 50 minus 4A. The answer which I'm looking for, because this is 6A and this is 2A. Everything else is same. So I just need to find 50 minus 4a. That was the logic which I have applied. After this, I could have gone to options thinking that most probably a will come as an integer. Not that they have said anything like that, but I could have tried that. But all that also was not needed, because this came out to be 6b minus 6b plus 6c, which is as good as nothing but double of this. So if I multiply the first equation by 2, oh sorry, not the first equation, the second equation by 2. Second equation by 2, if I'll get 12a plus 6b minus 6c is 100. And if I just write the first equation below that, a minus 6b plus 6c is 4. Now, if you add these equations, you can see this cuts out, this cuts out. So you've got a 13a is equal to 104, which means a is equal to 8. You just need to find 50 minus 4a, right? That's your answer. So 50 minus 4 into 8, 32. Answer is 18, which is option 1. I don't know what happened. How come such a easy question? Lot of students missed out is what they were telling me, that this part and this part is what you just had to concentrate on. And once you know you had to find 50 minus 4a, the question was very, very straightforward. Let's have a look at the next question. The next question is from time and work. A, V, and T, if working alone, can finish a task in 24, 21, and 15 days. So A, V, and T can finish a task in 24 days, 21 days, and 15 days. Without reading further, if you want to take the total work as the LCM. So the total work would be LCM of 24, 21, and 15, which has a 3 common everywhere. Then it is 3 into 8 into 7 into 5, which would be 40 into 21. 840 is the total work. So how much work is A doing in one day? 24. So 35 units is what A is doing per day. How much is V doing per day? V will do 40 units per day. And T will do 56 units per day. So this is the initial data which I've already taken. Now, they have said that they charge 2160, 2400 and 2160 per day respectively if they are employed for a even if they are employed for a partial day. That means they will charge 2160 rupees, 2400 rupees and 2160 rupees even if they are employed for a partial day. All that is okay. On any given day, any of the workers may or may not be employed to work. So it is not compulsory to employ all 3 of them. If the task needs to be completed in 10 days or less, then the minimum possible amount in rupees required to pay for the entire task is what? I want to just minimize my cost. I have 10 days. I can go up till 10 days. I cannot go about 10 days. Okay. Now, let's see who is the cheapest laborer. Now, if you notice this person, I can see the calculation easy, is rupees 60 per unit. 60 per unit. This one is so very cheap, 2160 divided by 56. I'm not even getting into the division. He's not even 40 rupees. Well, this is slightly above 60 because 35 6 is 2100. So this is greater than 60. And this is definitely less than 60. So now, because you have 10 days available to you, let's utilize all the 10 days. And first, let's give all the work to T, because T is the cheapest laborer. He can do 56 units in one day. So in 10 days, T will do 560 units, for which one day he's going to be paid 2160. So for that, he will be paid rupees 21600. So that is so definitely done. Out of our 840, we have already finished 560 units. So 840 minus 560 will be what? 280. So 280 more units have to be done. Now, who's doing this 280 units? What? Obviously, V I will give, because A is more expensive. I'll give it to V. V is doing how much? 40 units per day. So therefore, V will be employed for 7 days. Will be employed for 7 days. Why 7 days? Because one day he's doing 40. So to do 280 divided by 7, he will be employed for 7 days. His payment for one day was 2400. So his payment will become 2400 into 7, which will be 16,800. That will be cheaper than definitely employing A. So that is it. And now we will just add these two up to get the answer. So that becomes 38,400 rupees. 38,400 rupees, which is the second option. The options were pretty close, so you have to be very careful. Answer is option B. Where would I put this question? Level B. Again, not level A. It's not something which I see and say, okay, wow, this looks very straightforward. Different rates were there for different people. We had to go and figure out which was the cheapest one. This part of the employed of partial day and full day kind of confuses a lot of people. Let's have a look at the next question. Again, a question which I thought was very, very straightforward. Again, something which you should have got. The number of distinct pairs of integers where x is greater than y and y is greater than or equal to 3. X plus y is less than 14. So in short, x plus y can be less than or equal to 13. We can go till 13 because everything is integers, and only natural numbers because everything is positive. Now, y is greater than or equal to 3. So let's start with y as 3. If I start with y as 3, what values can x take? This doesn't have to be 13. It can be maximum 13. So the maximum value for x can be 10. But the minimum value can be 4 also, because x has to be greater than y. So x can be 4 to 10, which is when y is 3, which are 7 solutions, because we want to know the number of solutions. Okay. When y will be 4, x can be 5 to 9. So this will become 5 solutions. When y is 5, x can be 6 to 8. That is 3 solutions. When y is 6, x can be only 7, which is 1 solution. Answer is 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7, which is 16 solutions or 16 distinct pairs. Very, very, very simple question. Definitely level A question. Such questions you should definitely get in the test scenario. Let's have a look at the next question. Maxima, minima, quadratic equation, but not very difficult concepts. Pay attention very carefully. A value of c for which the minimum value of this function is greater than the maximum value of this function. So you just had to use standard concept. Now we know this, where it has the minimum value. That means this is a curve, something like this part. How do you find this point? At this point, everybody should know x is minus b by 2a. You don't need to know the formula for y, just keep the formula for x enough. So if x is minus b by 2a, what will that point over here for x be? Minus b. That will become 4c by 2a is 2. So 2. So we got x is 2c. Just put x as 2c over here. That will give us the minimum value of the function. So minimum value of the function will become how much? Put x as 2c. So 2c ka square will become 4c square minus 4c into 2c. That will become 8c square plus 8c. So that will become 8c minus 4c square. Leave it over here. This is the minimum value of the function. Now the other function has a negative x square, which means it will be like this. So this will have a maximum value. Again, at the same point, x is minus b by 2a. So what will x be over here? Minus b. Only thing, calculations are slightly more difficult. Minus b will be minus 3c by 2a will be negative 2. So it will be 3c upon 2. Let's put it back in the question and see what do we get for the maximum value of the function. So the maximum value of the function which we will get will be negative 9c square upon 4 plus 3c into 3c. That will become 9c square upon 2 minus 2c. 9c square upon 2 minus 9c square upon 4 will become 9c square upon 4 minus 2c. Okay, you can take LCM, you can write it as 9c square minus 8c upon 4. Now, what is the condition which we have been told? We have been told that we want to find the minimum value, a value of c for which the minimum value of the first is greater than the maximum value of the second. That means 8c minus 4c square should be greater than 9c square minus 8c upon 4. Multiply both sides by 4, you get 32c minus 16c square is greater than 9c square minus 8c. So I'll get 0 is greater than 9c square minus 6 plus 16c square will become 25c square minus 40c. You can divide by 5. So you'll get 0 greater than 5c square minus 8c. I can take c common. So I get 5c minus 8 is less than 0. Now, once I got this, what do I know? C has to, now basically the two answers are C is 0 and 1.6. 8 divided by 5 is 1.6. So C is between 0 and 1.6. C is between 0 and 1.6. Now, if it is between 0 and 1.6, I just have to go to the options. Negative half is out. In fact, both the negative values are out. 2 is also out because 2 is greater than 1.6, so that is out. Only C option, half will remain. So C, the answer out of possible values, it could be any one of these values, but the possible values, C is equal to half, which is the third option. Looks difficult. Even when I've solved it, it looks difficult. But very frankly, if you tell me in an exam situation, would I attempt it? Yes, I would attempt it. Why? Let me explain that to you. I would definitely attempt it because it, for me, the logic is that part is a very, very straightforward question. You just have to apply concepts and you keep getting to it. There's not even one difficult concept. So that is why I would do it. Level B question, but still somebody like me would definitely take it up in the first shot. Let's have a look at the next question. The next question is, it's a question on simple interest, and I think there's some compound interest later. At a certain simple rate of interest, a given sum amounts to 13,920 in 3 years and rupees 18,960 in 6 years, 6 months. So can I say the difference between these two? The difference between these two, which is I think 5040, is nothing but the interest for 3.5 years. So pay attention. If you got that part quickly, you would save a lot of time. Otherwise, you would write something like this: 13,920 is equal to P plus P into N into R upon 100, equation number 1. And other equation is 18,960 is P plus P into 3.5 into R upon 100. And then subtract these two and you get the same thing, which I would not want you to do. I would want you to directly think that the difference between these two is nothing but the interest for 3.5 years. So 5040 is only the interest. So P into 3.5 is 7 by 2 into R upon 100, right? 7 cuts over here, 7 ones are 7 sevens are 49, 7 twos are 720. So 720 into 2, 1440 is PR upon 100. That is interest for 1 year. What is this? This is interest for 1 year. So, and this was the amount for 3 years. So what will be my interest for 3 years? 3 PR upon 100 will be interest for 3 years. 144, 3 is 432. So 4320. This becomes interest for 3 years. So if I subtract this from 13920 minus 4320, 006, 9,600. That 9,600 becomes my principal. So principal is 9,600. And once I got principal, I can get rate also. I can put in any one of the equation. I'll put it obviously in the first one. So I will put it over here. I'll get 1440 divided by 96, because 2 zeros will cut. Divided by 96 is nothing but R. 16 is the table I can see. 16 9s are, 16 6s are, and 15 6s are 90. So R is 15%. So the first part of the question, getting R, was not very difficult. Yes, maybe a little bit lengthy than what I would want, but the second part of the question was difficult. Now, they have said if the same money was invested at the same rate for 2 years, but where compounding is done every 6 months. So if compounding is done every 6 months, then what will happen? So you'll have to use the compound interest formula. Amount is equal to P into 1 plus R upon 100 raised to N. But because it is half year, R becomes half and N becomes double. So therefore, amount would become 9,600 into 1 plus 7.5 upon 100. 1 plus 7.5 upon 100 will become 1.075. And instead of 2 years, this will become 4 because it is compounded half yearly. Very frankly, in the exam situation, what I expect you to do, I expect you to just do this on the calculator. Definitely just do it blindly on the calculator. Amount will come 9,600 plus, since I now know I'm not going to be able to do the calculations over here. It will be, answer is 3321 because your interest would be amount. So whatever answer you got over here, amount minus principal. So answer is the option B. Now let's just think, I know there are some students interested in, sir, what would you do if we didn't have a calculator? Let's assume I don't have a calculator and I want to finish this calculation. I could do something. This is what I did. I'll just explain to you. So not doing this approach. So first I did, how much is 7.5%? 7.5% is nothing but 7.5 upon 100. So what is 7.5 upon 100? 75 upon 1000, which becomes 3 upon 40. So my rate becomes 3 upon 40. Okay. 7.5 upon 100, which is 3 upon 40. Now, what I would do is I would calculate interest at every 6 months. So what is my first interest? It will be 3 upon 40 of 9,600, 424. So this will come 720 rupees. Now pay attention very carefully to this. So in the second year also, I will get 720 though definitely, but I will also get interest on 720 again. Let's explain this one more time, because you will get 3 by 40 of 9,600 plus you will get 3 by 40 of 720. 720 ka divided by 4 is, I think, 18. 18 3s are 54. So I'll get a 54 rupees extra. Okay. In the third year, I'll get 720 on 9,600. Okay. Pay attention very carefully. Okay. There are now these two 720s on which I'll get 54 for plus 54, so I'll get 108. And roughly, if I do 3 by 4, 40 or 54, it's approximately 4 rupees extra. Okay, that becomes interesting. In the fourth year, I will still get 720 on the original value. There are 3 720s on which I will get interest. There are 3 720s on which I'll get interest, which will be 162 rupees approximately. Now, what else? I will get this 4 rupees on 54 and approximately 8 rupees on 108. If 4 rupees on 54, so on 108, I'll get 8 rupees. So I will get approximately another 12 rupees. I'll repeat this. 4 rupees on 54 and 8 rupees on 100. So I'll get approximate 12. I'm discarding what I'll get on the 4. It's going to be a very small amount. So just let's leave that. So what do I get? 724 is 2880. Plus, let's see what do I get from here. Okay, I'm just going to take the round figures to add up easily. 108 plus 12 is 120. 120 plus 160 is 280, 282. 282 plus 8. 282 plus 8 is 290. 290 plus 50 is 340 approximately. So I get 0, 12, 12, and I reach very, very close. And if you notice that I discarded something, I said on the last 4 rupees, it's okay. So that I have discarded. So my answer is this. Without a calculator, this is what I would do in exam situation, because everything else will become difficult. You can do successive percentage changes also. Like you can do successive percentage of 7.5, 7.5, which also works. I don't mind it. That's also not bad. But this is one of the approaches you could do. With a calculator, this was a level B question. Okay, I would say B because a lot of people get confused over here. If you got this very fast, where you got P as 9,600 and R as 15 very quickly, then it can become a level A question also. So with that, we come to the end of slot 1 QA solutions. Please go through all the questions. If it was within your slot, see what mistakes you made, what you could have done better, and maybe apply it to the other exams like XAT or whatever. And for the others who are just watching it if it was not their slot, they can still look at how the questions were, what concepts we learned, and we can take it towards the other exams. For CAT 26, this is the learning for you, and this is how CAT papers can be.